Morning, everyone. It's just on 9:30. Just to remind you of the house rules, we're going to ask you to keep your microphones and your cameras muted throughout the session. But please, we would really like you to engage with our speaker today, which is Dr. Rooksana Rajab, through the chat box. So please, any questions or any comments that you've got, put them into the chat box. I will moderate the session and interrupt our speaker at whatever seems to be a good time, and raise your questions, and then she can respond to them. So please do engage with the speaker during the session. So Rooksana, if I can just introduce Rooksana to you. I'm not sure how many of you know of Dr. Rajab. She's Director of Resonance Consulting Services. I'm just going to give you some highlights out of her summary of her CV. Expertise is channeled in organizational development with an emphasis on innovation to lead effectively, work collaboratively, and drive results for change. She's been involved quite extensively with the powers that be. So she's been a board member for organizations such as the National Skills Authority and SAQA, amongst others. She has a doctorate in management, innovation, and technology. And she's currently the Senior Associate of JET Education Services, which is leading the post-school education and training cloud program, which is what we've asked her here to talk about. And her keen interest is in ethics and governance and the utilization of data in this fast-paced technological era. So obviously really interesting stuff. Rooksana, can I hand over to you?
Thanks, Andy.
There you go.
Thank you. Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Andy, for that introduction. It's really a privilege to be addressing all the skills experts in the room today, especially those from the South African Skills Development Association. And I really wanted you to put your hats on around the work that you're doing, the engagements that you have in your workplaces with employers or as consultants, you know, view this presentation as something that is very forward-looking. So I'll take you through what is the PSET Cloud. I'm going to share a PowerPoint presentation, but as Andy says, you're welcome to stop me at any time, or he will point out that there's questions. I know it's a very short session, 30 minutes, so I'm going to get going. I'm going to share my screen with you now. As soon as you put on this presentation, you hardly ever see anyone that's in the room. So yeah, thank you, Andy, for telling me that you can see the presentation. So I'm going to talk you through a deck of slides around what is the PSET Cloud, but I need to provide a brief context around this and the technological opportunity that the PSET Cloud presents. I'll touch on what is interoperability and our readiness as South Africa for interoperability, and our user-centered focus around this. So you really need to see yourselves in this picture as advocates of the PSET Cloud going forward. And so I just want to talk about the advocacy and partnerships that we are currently busy with. So in the context of South Africa at the moment, and I think it's a global trend now with COVID, huge unemployment worldwide, the economies are depressed, and it's a very volatile you know, workplace at the moment. Lots of jobs being lost, high unemployment rates, low skills, and with technology and the advancement of technology, there are possibilities of lots of new jobs, but we don't have the skills for. So we need to understand this context in what we are wanting to do with the PSET Cloud, and it's a 5-year project. It's managed and led by the JET Education Services, and I'm leading the program for them. We are in year 3. It's funded by the MERSETA. So moving on.
Just a question around that. The issue then, as I understand it, and I think that it's something that I've experienced myself, is that there are a lot of opportunities out there for both learners and for businesses to take advantage of, but it's actually hard to get a grasp on that complexity and to know where to go. And is that the intention of this, is to help people link up and understand the possibilities?
Yes, and absolutely, you're spot on, Andy. Actually, this is what the technology offers. It's joining the dots. So I'm going to show you a picture a little later in my slides around how fragmented the post-school sector is. And that involves all the CETAs and the skills development roles that you play in there as practitioners, the navigation of all the quality councils, getting your credentials recognized, your career services are there. There's many. There is one that is a mainstream one from the DHET, but students find it difficult to navigate. But the PSET Cloud is not only for learners, which I will explain just now. It's also for progression of employed candidates that come onto the system. It's also to connect employers to it. So it's all digitized, it's on a platform, and I'm going to explain the concept of interoperability now. So it's really around exchanging data, exchanging information, but we need to ensure we have common standards so that the data can be read. And it has different information systems that will be put on. So really it's about the PSET Cloud itself, in tangible terms, would be a common platform where you know, all the stakeholders come together. The stakeholders are from the post-school education ecosystem, and that means everyone that is not in school. So it's you know, workplaces that offer training, it's institutions, both public and private, from TVET, adult learning, universities, the Quality Council, SAQA with its huge NLRD, the support systems of the DHET. So I'm going to show you a slide of how fragmented that system is. But what are we really trying to do with the interoperability? What we're doing is putting all the data systems on a platform, but we need to ensure that we protect data. So it is not taking over any data system from any of the quality councils or SAQA or CETAs. It's really about building bridges. So the data would be anonymized, but building bridges so that we can get labor market results on analysis. We can look at decision-making. We can look at strategic planning for the country. That's just from the governance side of it. But further down, also in the value chain, learners can navigate, would be referred to career guidance services, what programs are being offered, what qualifications exist. So it's a very complex system that we are building, but an integrated one, so that it can give us all these benefits, rich knowledge and of AI, of artificial intelligence. So we're working towards looking at automation that gives us the results that we're looking for, as opposed to the manual type of upload. It's sitting in different databases, stakeholders engaging, but sitting so far away. We talk about collaboration, but we really don't act on the collaboration. So this is a common place that stakeholders, first of all, can come together, discuss their intentions and their requirements. And we've done extensive user requirements in our research. We've done international benchmarking research. All of that in the first 2 years is now informing what we're developing. We have the developers on board now. So this really is what interoperability is meant to do.
If I can check my understanding, it's almost like a search engine or a Google for all players to get involved. And if you want to find something out, are you anticipating that we would go to the PSET Cloud, whether you're a learner or a skills development manager or a training provider or some organ of government? This is a place where all of this information can be accessed. And you don't hold the information like Google, you make the links. That's what you're doing. Am I right? Is that what you're doing?
Absolutely, absolutely. But we're also bringing in employers who will come onto the system and say which vacancies they have or which skills they require. And the AI would do the matchmaking. So they would then, once they log on, have access to whatever keywords they might put in for the skills requirements. And then they would get maybe a whole host of possible candidates that they could interview. But there would be information, access to information depending on the stakeholders. So certain areas of the platform will be blocked, certain areas would be, and it would all be encrypted. So you'd have to be a user, you'd have to log on, you'd have to register. But we're far away from that right now. What we're doing is we're building a minimal viable product. So that's exactly what we're talking about, Andy, when you ask about what is it designed to actually do? What will it be able to do? And you are right. It's about connecting people. The big vision is about finding employment. Many of the objectives, as I've already explained, is around planning, skills development. We need the participation of the ecosystem to come together on a common platform. So we're taking advantage actually of what technology offers, and it's moving very fast. Whether we go with it or not, technology is continuing to be advanced. So we're looking at automation, we're looking at cloud computing. This is why it's called the PSET CLOUD, but it's been a very clever acronym. It's actually post-school education training, and the cloud is collaboration for the utilization of data. So it's all around big data, analysis of data, using the Internet of Things technology in how we connect the dots on the back end. So the policy makers.
Just before you go away from that, so I see a little icon there which looks like a cell phone, and you've said mobility. So does that mean that we'll access it? How do we access this? Is it going to be on a phone, or is it going to be at a desktop?
Most of our learners and institutions that don't actually have infrastructure, whatever, most of them have got mobile phones. So like any web, we would want to, ideally, we would want it to be, and it will be accessed on your mobile phone. Our phones are mini computers anyway. You can, and cameras and, internet connection and your calendars, everything, your office moves with you in your hand. With your mobile phones. And so that's the idea, yes.
Wow, okay, thanks.
Can I move on?
Please go ahead.
Okay. So what can our policymakers expect? We're looking at partnerships, and we're engaging with SAQA and the 3QCs at the moment. We've also got a workshop lined up with BUSA so that employers learn about this. And then we've started engaging with professional bodies like yourself. So we will continue on this conversation. And we want to take everybody on this journey with us as we build the system. It's not going to be built overnight. The MVP is due to be showcased at our conference in February, and I'll give you some details around that. So you can watch this space. It's a conversation we will continue having with the association. It will give us insights into collective data, and this would help, as I've said, with decision making. With intermediaries like yourself, it will bridge those current disparities where you are not connected to other aspects of the skills development sector. It would bring people together. So that's the expectation. The long-term benefit would be an inclusive economic advancement and accurate insights so that we can promote lifelong learning and look for the right competencies. And we've been addressing the skills gap, as you know, you're the experts, for the last 20 years, and we're not winning with this one. The usual and common challenge has been that institutions offer programs that are outdated. Workplaces say learners are never ready, even though they're graduates, to do the job, and they have to retrain, etc., etc. So this is really meant to also allow like almost a digital wallet of your own qualifications, skills programs, possibly your CPD points and everything. So everything is all inclusive from an individual point of view, but that's also then connected to employers on the back end. Making sure that you don't have to look for manual and paper certificates in the long run. So
just a question, Rooksana, please just define again what is an MVP?
Minimal viable product. So it's a small aspect of the whole interoperable system that we are building. So what we're doing is we've got a very agile approach. By agile, we mean we're doing small chunks. We're going to test and pilot, and then build up on that. At the moment, the early adopter is the MERCETA. They are the sponsors of the development. They funded the whole 5-year project. So that's been signed off. We're not looking for funding for development. We will go into the next phase, well, actually not the next phase, but the next stage of phase 3, where we will scale up. So we're looking at connecting MERCETA manufacturing industry, engineering related employers to their learners, and the partnerships that they have with institutions at the moment. And as we test and pilot, we will then include the next CETA and the next CETA, so that eventually in about maybe 10 years, we'd have a national system. But this will grow exponentially depending on what the take-up is. So we want to ensure it works, it produces the solutions that we're looking for, so that it's a win-win. So that's the big vision and the long-term goal. The minimal viable product is being developed and will be launched on the 28th of February and the 1st of March. Those are the 2 dates outlined for our digital trans skills conference in 2022. So the picture that you see in front of you now is the ecosystem. The top row is all the institutions, as I explained. The bottom row of blocks, the yellow ones, are the quality councils, and that's where your accreditation happens. Center to all of this is the Department of Higher Education, and we've got a plethora of legislation, some of it conflicting, some of it not really being aligned. That's continuously being addressed at the moment with the legal channels. On the left, you see the NSA and all the CETAs. This is where workplace employers come into the process with their levy structure, and then the placements of learnerships, apprenticeships, etc., and engaging with their own employee development. And on the right is all the support structures for the Department of Higher Education and the ministry. So, but this is a very fragmented system. There is, from a data perspective, uploads can be a sophisticated system from a specific CETA right down to an Excel spreadsheet, and it's not collated, it's not aggregated, and there can be very little synergies between how that data is collected. From a provisioning point of view, the same story. As learners become qualified or get credits, or the new buzzword at the moment is credentials, because it's digital and it's on a platform. With encrypted badges, etc., and a lot of online learning coming on. We're moving quite fast with that technology, so we would have to embrace that. And there is that strong move around it. Even that data, by the time it goes to being uploaded to your accreditation body and then hits the NLRD, it's not real time. There's a lag in that. There is a delay in actually getting those credentials recognized. So there's huge possibilities around this. So it's around addressing the silos and the fragmentation in the system. And you'll see at the bottom, the 2 gray blocks is the professional bodies. We want to work with the professional bodies so that these credentials can be recognized, and the workplaces can also be approved in the process. So it is really a solution for everybody in skills development, learning and life, especially lifelong learning. So this is a complex project. Sorry, Andy.
Second question. So what should STFs be doing in anticipation of the platform? Is there anything that we can, from our point of view now, start doing that will set us up for
so
this?
First of all, I think just being aware of it, just knowing that there is this development of the PSET Cloud and something to look forward to. Right now, there isn't much because we have nothing to show you or for you to come on or test. But as soon as we have the minimal viable product, we would open it up to users like yourselves to test and help us pilot this. So we will let you know when that is accessible. And then the third thing is possibly to also make sure that there is awareness created around this. So if you're talking about this, for example, a client that you're working with or a training provider or whatever, mention the PSET Cloud, make it known, refer them to the JET website. And we also have the PSET Cloud website. So you can go on to worldwideweb.psetcloud.org.za. And if you can put that onto the chat for me in the meantime, people can access that. There's a lot of information that's already there. And we also have lots of publications, which I will show you from all the research that we've done. So that's what we really would like you to be our advocates of the PSET Cloud for now. If you see value in this, if this talks to your problems and your challenges in your work, if you see this as a solution for what we are trying to address, then I'm sure then you would want to talk about it and make sure that this reaches out. It's similar to when we did the NQF, and the language of the NQF was unknown, and we had to make sure it becomes common to people, citizens making the choice. It's the same thing. It's a long-term project. It's a long-term process. And that's why we don't call it a project anymore, although it has a start and an end date. It would be handed over to a governance structure, but it is here as a solution for South Africa. So it's ongoing. It will grow in, incrementally, and it's something that we would have to be very careful in how we manage this going forward, in how we govern it, how we fund it, ensure the sustainability of it. What you see in front of you now is a very complex diagram, but I'll make it very simple for you. Is the year one that we started on this phase, just to give you some background. We started with the theory of change. So that first red dot, if you follow the line at the bottom, is a theory of change. We needed to know what is the end goal and work ourselves backwards. What will enable us to embrace that change that we want in the system? We then, partnered with the CSIR. Mercita and JET were actually the key partners in this, driving the process. And we did a situation analysis, we did a mapping exercise, extensive research, and we produced a publication called The Power of Data, which you will find on the PSET Cloud website. Lots of insights around this current situation in South Africa. And then from that first red dot, the next cycle went to the second red dot that you see on the screen. We did an international benchmarking exercise where we did lots of research of similar data systems, similar platforms, similar complexities, but we are unique. This is a South African solution, and it might be one of the leading projects, digitized projects in the world. So we've ongoing conversations with international partners. We invite them in once a month to talk to us about their experiences. A lot of them, many of them will be addressing us in the conference. So please, there's no cost to register. You're most welcome to register for our conference, and we will give you updates as we go. The second phase is the middle circle that you see with the arrow. And we moved through that circle with stakeholder engagement. We started with a business case where we wanted to look at the feasibility. Is a vision like this feasible? Is it sustainable? What will be the requirements? And we've looked at that. So we've built a business case. The project that year one was just a 1-year contract with Mercita, and that's when they gave us the rest of the funding for the next 4 years from the business case. And then we did scenario planning. In the scenario planning, we invited all the stakeholders, at least 1 or 2 representatives of all the stakeholders in the ecosystem of the post-school sector. SACWA was there, the QCs, DHET, CETAs were represented. We had unemployed learners in those, and then we had a series of 5 workshops over a period of time. And we said, if we didn't have a system like this, what would happen? If we continued with a fragmented system, what would happen in the post-school sector? And it was a very dismal, you could see a publication on the 4 scenarios that came out. Dismal process of if we don't address the situation, technology would take over and there would be a bigger divide between the haves and the have-nots. Access to information would be delayed, etc. But I'm not going to go into the details of that. You can read that up out of your own interest. We partnered with RIOS partners on the scenario planning. And then that, the advocacy that we've started, this is one of the kind of conversations like today in taking the message out. And then with the golden dotted lines going out, we now out of that circle of, the stakeholder engagement is ongoing, but we out of that where we are researching. We now have to do and we have to produce, and we know that it is stakeholders have told us that this is the solution and that they're very keen to collaborate. So while we're still busy signing up those partnerships and MOUs, we've appointed JUMCO, you'll see at the bottom, 2 cycles to produce the minimal viable product. And then eventually, once we launch that in February, we'll be hitting out to actually then, you'll see that cycle on the top big cycles of testing, piloting, innovating, automating, getting results, and building the system. So the idea is to bring on another CETA and another CETA until we've covered all the economic industries within the economy. I don't know if there's any questions on the project plan that we have.
just 2 things. One is, I didn't want to interrupt you, but you've only got 3 minutes left.
Okay, all right.
The second one is,
let me move on then.
I think there's an interest, I think there's an interest from the ASDSA in helping with piloting. So maybe we can chat about that afterwards.
Sure.
And then a question from Sipiwe Chabalala. Greetings, if I enter PSET CLOUD website, will it be able to get your schedule going to 2022 and beyond? So is that on your website? Do you know?
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool, thanks.
Okay.
Back to you.
So yeah, so this is where we are. This is what my work is cut out for me in managing and bringing in experts, and we've got monitoring and evaluation experts, we've got a marketing expert, and John is helping me with the advocacy side of it. I think you all know John, he's part of the association. We've got technology experts, we've got policy experts, and so we've got lots of teams working in different components of the project, and we pull that together on a monthly basis. So these are the publications. I'm not going to go into the detail, but you'll see all of this on our website. The big one is the theory of change, and you'll see all the different components of the project, the international review, the power of data I mentioned, the scenarios, etc. So all these are available publicly for further reading. I just wanted to draw the distinction between digitization and digitalization. So many of the companies that you are associated with or work for or consult to are going through digital transformation. They're looking at their strategies, they're looking at what technology they can use in order to connect, for example, their finance with stakeholder engagement and clients and marketing, etc. But digitization is taking that information and converting it into information that you can use to make decisions. So it's really about empowering people through the systems and the data and the processes. I won't labor too much on that because of my time. We've got a snapshot of all the stakeholders that we need to be talking to, and we've got a strategy for engagement, and we're looking at 3 target audiences: the intermediaries and influencers like yourselves, citizens, so we need to get this word out and we need your help, and the decision makers. And we also looking at the regulatory framework and the governance structures around this. And I will stop there. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you so much. This has been very interesting, and it sounds like a mountain to climb. Colleagues, if I can ask you, if you've got any final questions or comments for Rooksana, please do type them in. Angelique, in the meantime, will put in the place you can click on for your CPD points. But questions or comments for Rooksana, please. Rooksana, it's all looking very quiet. I think everybody's
I think you have done a good job of explaining all of this and answering your questions as I presented. So
yeah.
And this is such a mindful, it is a complex and exciting project. It is, there are huge challenges in navigating the system, in ensuring, for example, me chatting to you, you know, this group of people, you hear it, you see it, but there's lots of other questions that will pop up later on. Who maintains this? How will it be funded ongoing? Who will own the data? Is this thing going to work? So there's a huge interest, but we've got to take it one step at a time. I mean, we're building something that is, I think, phenomenal. I think innovation is allowing us to do this. Both innovation and technology, and the technology that is, you know, quite innovative and moving. So it's been an exciting journey in the last 3 years for me, certainly. You know, I've been consulting to many firms for a long time, for over the last 20 years, but this is my pet project. This is what I throw all my energies into.
So Rooksana, there's a couple of comments, no questions, but I think you've awakened a lot of interest. So Angela Shaw saying, so excited to see this successfully implemented. Felicity Hamukha, very exciting. Angela again, would love to be involved, so I will do my part to spread the word. Sharon, I would certainly like to understand the system better. So I think there's a lot of interest, and I think we'd like to keep talking to you. You and I had spoken about this when we were planning, that maybe next year would be really good to have some more engagement with you in these sessions. And just if we wanted to be involved in the conference end of February,
yes.
Would that be
save the dates? We'll send out something soon. We've just appointed a service provider to assist us with the conferencing, so they're managing that for us. So they'll start doing a campaign around this. It is the morning of the 28th. They're 2 half days because it's international speakers and international audiences as well. So, you know, depending on where you are in the world, it's quite late or very early or etc. But it's for the morning of the 28th, possibly from about 8:30 to 1 o'clock, and the 1st of March from 8. I think it's a Monday and a Tuesday, 2022.
Will happen.
We would really like to showcase, this is the system, this is what it's doing, this is, you know, where we are, and so there'll be something tangible. We've moved from a concept to actual development, but we don't have anything to show you right now. So we're quite excited about that, and you'll see it at the conference in 3 months' time.
So, I mean, I will happily pass on that invitation to all of our members. Piwe Chabalala asking, could I share your contact details? Could I share your email address?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll put that into the chat box as well. Everyone, thank you. We're on past 10, it's 3 minutes past 10. I know people will need to go to other events. So Rooksana, just thank you so much. I think this is very exciting and a very interesting thing. We really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye then.
Bye.